Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSports. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me as always on Tuesday, Mr. Matthew Rooney. Andy, there's no golf today, but he's off working on some sort of big secret project or something. I don't know if we know what that is yet, or you're allowed to say anything about it, but it sounds like
Oh,
something's
I don't think
happening.
there's anything. I don't think it's some big secret project. It's usually it sounds like it's a project that usually is something that falls at my feet. That for some reason Andy got saddled with today. Nothing big or secret, just tedious and annoying, probably for the most part. So I'm happy to fill in for Andy on this lovely Tuesday, like I always do.
Now, there was a football game yesterday, but that really wasn't the most interesting part of
Sort
the
of.
football day. I mean, do you have anything to say quickly here about this, Packers Rams thing? Sorry, Dan, for talking you out of AJ Dillon first and 2+. I didn't realize that AJ Dillon was celebrating.
I had nothing from it. I mean, the Packers aren't technically dead yet, but they're still pretty dead, and the Rams are. I really didn't take anything from it. Baker crashed back down to earth, and not that he's bad, but he's just Baker, and that's kind of that. The Packers went out and won a game against the team that they should beat, and that's kind of all I take from it.
Makes perfect sense. The big news yesterday, it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to be out. Now, he's out this weekend. I don't think we necessarily know how long he is out, but there were some pretty interesting moves in some of the markets yesterday. The line for the Cowboys game itself, I believe that opened close to like Dallas or Eagles -1 or something like that. It's all the way out to, I think, Cowboys -6 at this point. But this was wild. The NFL MVP odds. Jalen Hurts, when he woke up yesterday morning, Matt, was -150. Now, Patrick Mahomes is -350. This feels like I'm talking about a draft bet.
Yeah, Dan was tweeting about it yesterday. Actually, the Josh Allen MVP future makes a whole lot of sense to me because the Chiefs haven't, like the last couple of weeks, they've been kind of playing with their food a little bit, and they haven't really been all that impressive. And I think you're about one slip up away and Josh Allen finishing the season really strong from him jumping right back into that MVP favorite spot. So at plus 600, I think there's a whole lot of value in grabbing that Josh Allen ticket. I love Joe Burrow. I don't think he's going to get himself back into the race at plus 600. I don't think it's necessarily worth it. But Josh Allen at plus 600, I think there's a whole lot of intrigue to that one.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Honestly, either of the plus 600s. I mean, when you're looking at a market like MVP, where, again, we just saw what happened yesterday, right? One injury to Jalen Hurts, and all of a sudden it changes like that. And not that I'm saying Mahomes is going to get hurt, but what if he does? What
Anything
if he
can
misses
happen,
a
yeah.
couple games or something, right? Like all of a sudden this thing flips on its head one more time. So maybe some Josh Allen, maybe some Joe Burrow. I haven't looked too much at the stat numbers here. My guess is if the season finishes as it does, it makes sense to me that Mahomes would be the favorite. But yeah, I'm shocked to see it at -350 already. That's kind of prohibitive in this kind of market, I would think.
Yeah, I get it. It's probably to protect themselves from a ton of bets coming in on Mahomes, but for the most part, like that seems like not. I don't know. That seems like too big of a risk for me at this point.
Yeah, and again, we think Hurts will probably be back for the Super Bowl because you take a look at the Super Bowl odds. Eagles are plus 430. They sit right now at plus 525. So a little bit of a move there. I think maybe indicative of maybe the Eagles lose a game or two. Find some way to drop out of the 1 seed basically and miss the bye. But to me, this means that Hurts, if he is injured, as far as the news, I mean, the market, as far as the market is concerned, Hurts will be back for the playoffs.
So Minshew basically just has to win one game for them to lock up the 1 seed, correct?
I believe so.
Pretty much. Now that the Cowboys, I think they're gonna. I think they'll be fine. I still think they'll get the 1 seed. Hurts. It seems like it's frustrating that he's going to be out for the rest, or most of the regular season, if not the rest of it. Should be back in time for a playoff push.
I think they have to win one, possibly two. Or no, I guess they beat the Vikings, so they have the head-to-head. I think you're right. I think it is just one game, and this week's game against Dallas is pretty big.
I might sprinkle their money line this week against Dallas. I really might. This is such a Dallas game to go out and lose when everything's in your favor.
Minshew mania is real, and you think about the situation, right? He walks into about as good of a situation as a quarterback can have. A strong offensive line that's played together, two great wide receivers, plenty of running backs to kind of run in, and an offense that, not that Jalen Hurts isn't asked to do much, but there is a version of this offense that's pretty neat and clean. But I guess if the Eagles are going to win a game, it would probably be at home versus the Saints because they have the Saints draft pick. But yeah, they've got to get one of these next three. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't really have too much worry about them. It's when the news started, like it wasn't the news that he was definitely hurt or how long he was out, but people started saying like, hey, like there's some NFL news coming. Look at the MVP odds. Jalen Hurts is dropping. I thought there was going to be some sort of bombshell, like he's out for the year. But it seems like Eagles fans and the Eagles kind of dodged a bullet that, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, and good by you, soccer picks, grabbing that +7. It's like you're kind of saying in the comments there. It is really interesting to watch the market again tell us that Jalen Hurts is worth 7-ish points or so. That does seem like a little bit. So I think a bet on the Eagles might not be the worst thing in the world because again, it's the Cowboys. It's Cowboys Eagles, baby. NFC divisional football. Anything is possible.
Gardner Minshew, man, like you don't want him to be your starter for a whole year, but if you have to spot start him here, he can give your team a little bit of a jolt. He's like a little mini Baker Mayfield when he comes in for a game or two.
He's coming in hot. He's coming in with confidence. I'm excited to see what he does and what he's saying. And honestly, it'll be a fun game. I think it'll be one of the most fun Eagles games we've had because as good as the Eagles are, it's a little boring at this point. So a little mix it up here. That'll be fun for the Cowboys.
Hey, the Bears made it interesting. We kept it a little bit interesting for you. Played pretty well. Bears might be the best bad team, or they might be the best bad team ever. They're not getting blown out. They're there every game.
Justin Fields is so good. He is so fun to watch. Good for you guys.
Good. I can't wait for this offseason. I've never had a quarterback before, literally ever.
That's true.
It's great. I've never had a star quarterback. When the Bears went to the Super Bowl in my lifetime, it was
Jay Cutler the best quarterback?
Jay Cutler is by far the best best Bears quarterback in my lifetime. It's really not close. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to
and he's not bad, but
I had Sexy Rexy. He did get all the way to that Super Bowl, but I digress. Let's not talk about the Bears and get into a deep, dark place here. Bowl bets, college bowl games. They're rolling along. How many have we had at this point?
Oh, 5 or 6 or so. I don't know off the top of my head, but we're rolling right along. We got a couple games today. I won't lie. My bowl season, Dan and I's bowl picks for on the Blogger Bowl on Thursday have not been going so well, but we got a whole lot of time to bounce back here. I'm going to roll with in the first game, we got Eastern Michigan and San Jose State playing in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, one of my favorite bowls. After the Bahamas Bowl might be my favorite bowl because we're playing it on that blue turf in Boise, Idaho. Eastern Michigan is a team things.
I didn't know potatoes could get together and do that.
They can. They, potatoes matter too. Eastern Michigan has played pretty well to finish out the year. They went 4-1 in their last 5 games to finish out the year. Scored 30 plus in each of their last 3. They've been playing some pretty good football. We bet on them a lot. San Jose State is coming into this game having lost 2 of their last 3. They've allowed 35 or more in 2 of the last 3, and we're going into Boise where it's going to be 19 degrees. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Eastern Michigan team is going to be a little bit more equipped for 19-degree weather than San Jose State. Not that it's ever, always super warm in San Jose, but 19 degrees is not something we usually see from them there.
Soft California kids have never seen that.
Exactly. They don't know what 19 degrees feels like. I look outside my window here, though, and it's like -5.
Can't even feel your feet.
Exactly, and I don't complain about it all whatsoever. Those California kids aren't going to like it. And then in the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. You ever go to roofclaim.com? I don't know what that does. You claim your roof.
Do you claim a roof?
I don't. maybe I'll go
find out. Roof.
Maybe I'll go to roofclaim.com later. We'll talk about Friday. While you're doing that, I'll talk about the pick. I have the under 52.5 in this one. Liberty had a really good start to the year. They were 8-1 at one point. They lost their last 4 when their Hugh Freeze. They basically quit on Hugh Freeze because they knew Hugh Freeze was going to be gone, and the season kind of ended in a weird way. I think now that they have had some time to get away from that, I think defensively they're going to start playing better. They're pretty bad defensively in their last 3 games, but I think they're going to kind of come back to the norm. November 5th, they allowed just 19 points to Arkansas on a win there. They held BYU to just 14. I like how they're playing, how I think they can play defensively. I think they've had enough time since the end of the season to kind of regroup and get out of that tailspin. Whereas Toledo, their last few games, 17-7 against Ohio in the MAC championship, put up just 14 against Western Michigan. They haven't been the normal Toledo offense that we've become accustomed to. So I'm going to take the under 52.5 there at pretty close to even money. As much as I don't like taking the under in a Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening bowl game.
So roofclaim.com, pretty close to what it sounds like. I mean, you don't quite claim a roof, but they will come and replace your roof. And now, guys, we're showing exactly what the value is of sponsoring.
But then why are we calling it claim? Or maybe insurance? Like an insurance claim? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, roof claim.
If a
That's true.
representative from roofclaim.com wants to come on and talk to
Insurance
us, maybe
claim
give us
plus roof.
tickets,
Hey, I
give us
like that.
tickets
That's
to
a good
next year's
guess.
bowl game, we'll take it. Hoops, though, before I get off too far off the rail here, we got 5 basketball games tonight. I think I saw a smaller slate.
5 basketball games, and yes, as Andy always likes to point out, when there's less games, I seem to want to bet more of them. 5 games tonight, 3 looks that I like quite a bit here. Yesterday, again, talked about some of those totals. I guess the market was right. I got the pace I wanted in both of those games, but the shooting numbers were a little off. So we'll go back and look at that. But 3 games I like again today. Going to be playing a couple favorites and then 1 total. The 2 games I didn't play, you've got the Bulls, Miami. It's really hard. I don't know what's going on with your Bulls, Matt. They're just kind
Yeah,
of a mess. At the same time,
they're
Miami is
going
just
through the
filling up the
motions. They
injury
stink.
report. I will say I do like Miami's overreaction to being fined for injury report nonsense. The Miami Heat now list every single player on the team on the injury report every day. So that's kind of fun, but looks like they'll have Jimmy Butler and Bam tonight. Again, Heater -4.5, pretty close to where I had it. Maybe an under there if you need some action in that game. And then the other game, Jazz Pistons, do something else. Don't watch Jazz Pistons. Do something else. Find something, watch a movie, do anything else other than think about that
Watch hockey
basketball
later.
game. But that's true. Hockey. We'll talk about that in
Yeah.
a second. But Knicks -4.5. Likes this Knicks team. That's looks like this is ticked out to -5. Again, -5 or better looks good here. I have the Knicks as 7, almost 8-point favorites over a Golden State Warriors team that will be without Andrew Wiggins, will be without Steph Curry, and is on the front night of a back-to-back. Now, I don't think that we'll get lucky with kind of any injury nonsense on the front end of a back-to-back, because this game, I believe, is on national TV. But if the Knicks get out here to a big lead, I think the Warriors are going to rest their stars. Might look at some alts on this a little bit later once the market firms up. But the Knicks have been playing great basketball. Jalen Brunson or no Jalen Brunson, they have Brunson tonight. But even without him, they've been great. It's a team with a little bit of depth. They're kind of back locked into doing what Thibodeau wants them to do. The offense has become a little bit more dynamic. So, the Knicks are kind of a fun basketball team here. And I'm surprised, honestly, to find myself backing them, given that, again, they look a little maybe overrated, but not nearly as much as this Warriors team without Steph Curry. So happy to lay the points at the Knicks tonight, given the situation and how good New York looks playing basketball. The Grizzlies, you can play them at the money line, -120 or -1, -110. Both options are out there. I took the -120 simply because the -1, -110 was at a place I generally don't like to bet. But either one of those is pretty good. Again, the Grizzlies are small favorites here against the Denver Nuggets team that, as good as Nikola Jokic has been, the team itself has really faltered. It's been tough for them. Jamal Murray being in, being out, Michael Porter Jr. being out. It's just been a really rough season for this Nuggets team. And I think they're starting to look, honestly, a lot like they did last year. But, basically, unless they get a Herculean effort from Nikola Jokic, which is always possible, they really struggle to win some of these games. Whereas the Grizzlies have weathered the storm here. Jaren Jackson Jr. is back. He is getting close to being the favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. John Morant is ticking up in terms of the list for odds for MVP. It's just been a really great time for the Memphis Grizzlies, and I have them as closer to 3-point favorites here tonight against this Nuggets team. The home court advantage in Denver is always a big deal, but Memphis has never really struggled there and kind of know how to prepare for that situation. So give me the Grizzlies -1 or -120 on the money line. And then Wizards Suns over 228. This is ticking up a little bit. Would play anything 229 or lower. The Wizards getting everybody back tonight. It looks like Bradley Beal's going to play. Kristaps Porzingis is going to play. No Devin Booker for the Phoenix Suns, but as long as they have DeAndre Ayton, who is going to be out there tonight, this team continues to play at a good pace to put up a really nice offensive efficiency rating. And the Wizards, again, when Beal plays, they've been a really good over team this year. I had this in kind of the low 230s. So again, anything 229 or higher. So give me an over the Grizzlies and the Knicks.
I like all those bets a lot. I really like that over. The Wizards have been so bad defensively. I know they lost like 10 in a row, and through that stretch, they've just been allowing so many points. And then I just don't know what's going on with the Golden State Warriors. They just kind of old.
I think it was, so they came into the season with the plan, we're not going to play our starters a whole lot. And I think they thought they could win some more games. They'd be a little better positioned by now. And then it's kind of gotten, piled on upon by Curry's going to be out for a couple weeks, and that's really ugly for them. Klay Thompson is not back to kind of being Klay Thompson. Draymond Green, it's tough to make him work without kind of those elite shooters on the floor. And as good as Andrew Wiggins has been, kind of all the secondary players haven't taken the step forward they needed to. So it's a long season. Maybe they'll figure it out, but it's just been a really clunky start at first on purpose, and now as a result of some stuff maybe they didn't expect.
Can't really snap out of it.
Yeah, it's tough. And again, I think it speaks to that philosophy of you have to be out there trying to win every night, because if you're not, that's when you're not 100%. That's not when you're locked. That's when you're not locked in. That's when maybe you pick up some of these injuries. So we'll see. Again, it's a long season. We're only about a third of the way through. So the Warriors will probably be fine, but there's definitely a reason to pause.
All right. I'm very intrigued by that storyline.
Speaking of
got some hockey. Should I talk about some hockey?
Big NHL slate because we got small NBA.
Yeah, we got a bigger, pretty decent. I think it's like 7 or 8 games, so not the biggest you'll see, but definitely bigger than the NBA tonight. Only have a couple picks. Both of them obviously going to be plus money because I pretty much only like to give you plus money bets. I flirted with a minus 105, but I stayed away from it. First, these are both early slate games. I think it's a 6 and a 6:30, or maybe both 6 o'clock. Who knows? The Hurricanes laying 1.5 against the Devils. I think we talked about the Devils on here a few weeks ago, how they got off to a great start and they were due for a regression at some point. Now, the great start might have been good enough to kind of get them in a good playoff position, which I still think it has, but the regression's starting to happen. They've dropped 5 in a row. I don't think they're as bad as they've been over the 5-game stretch, but they're not the team they started out. I believe it was like 18-3. So they're starting to come back to the mean a little bit. The Hurricanes have been a Stanley Cup contender for the last 4 or 5 years. They've won 5 in a row. They're playing very good hockey. The Devils have struggled to score the last three or so games. I'm looking at it now. 2 against the Panthers, just 1 against the Flyers in a loss, just 1 against the Stars, lost 4-3 to the Rangers in overtime. Carolina's been winning kind of every which way. They've been scoring 3 goals, 5 goals, 1 goal, shutout. Like they can beat you just about any way you want. I like them tonight at the minus 1.5 at plus 194, given how well, or how both teams have been playing. I should say how well Carolina's been playing, how bad New Jersey's been playing. I think that's great value to take with them there. And we're going to go with the 3-time the defending Eastern Conference champion Lightning at plus money on the money line going into Toronto tonight. They've won 5 in a row. They've covered they've covered 2.5 in each of their last 5 games as well, against some pretty decent teams. The Predators, the Panthers, the Kraken, who have been a big surprise. Like the Lightning are playing really, really good hockey right now. Toronto's lost 2 in a row. They're one of the better teams in the NHL this year. These two teams right next to each other in the Atlantic Division, 2nd and 3rd. So it's pretty big matchup whenever these two teams play in the division. I like the Lightning given how they're playing. They're scoring a lot of goals. They're playing really good defensively. Andrei Vasilevsky's kind of snapped out of his slow start. So if you're going to give me the Lightning plus money on the money line in a spot like this with how well they're playing, I'm going to take that.
I like it. I like both of these bets. Maybe I'll even find like a Lightning minus 1.5. What's that, like plus 250?
Probably around plus 200. I can look that up for you right now.
Let's see. That's what I should have been doing while you were talking. Yeah, plus 240.
Ooh, I like that.
Minus 2.5 plus 440.
Why not? Oh, I like that a lot too. Just like the total base prop. Just give yourself an over 1.5 and over 2.5 and over 3. Just keep sprinkling. Keep climbing the ladder. Keep climbing the ladder.
I like it. Well done. Covered a lot of stuff today. Good job by everybody in the chat. Thanks for your thoughts, soccer picks. That was good. Producer Dan, you're always lovely, making sure that we know what's going on and keeping us on track. And thanks everybody else for watching, listening. Give us a thumbs up, like, review, all that good stuff. Andy appreciates it. We'll be back tomorrow.